Hey everybody, it's Kneecap here, and in this video, I'm going to be going over the new corruption system that's replacing Titanforging and Warforging in 8.3. I'll start off by just giving you all the facts on it, and what we know so far, and what's been known in the PTR and all that. And then at the end, I'll give you a little bit of my opinion on the change here. So let's hit a few things on it first. Non-Season 4 content, so that means all the stuff before this patch can still Warforge and Titanforge. Okay, so the corruption only will happen to new content basically. I don't know if world quests count as old content or not, because they update the item level in world quests as well and dungeons. So I'm not sure exactly how that'll work. The current drawbacks currently in the PTR, these are just somebody else's notes, are not yet tuned, and changes are already implemented for the next PTR build, so just it's not finished yet. The legendary shroud that you get from Raytheon, this is going to lower the amount of corruption, some of the corruption that you have from the gear, and I'll explain that more later. Corrupted items, so let's say all your items are corrupted, you have too much corruption. Think about it if you got something that had like a ton of critical strike, ton of all the stats that you want on it, your main stat, a ton of everything, but it reduced your stamina by 10,000 or something ridiculous, right? You wouldn't want to wear that item. So this doesn't necessarily reduce your stamina, but corruption just has a negative impact on you to where you die faster. You can't function very well. So what you can do is you can take these items to the Heartforge, to Magni, basically, and you can actually remove the corruption on them. So you can purify any corrupted piece. And lastly, corruption is not a thing going forward. Corruption is just for this patch. It's just something they're trying out, and I'll get into more of that probably in the opinion part. Some more things that we know. So to kind of explain how this corruption works in a little bit more succinct way. Basically, so an item, like now, an item has a chance to Titanforge or Warforge, just completely RNG. Now items will have a chance to corrupt. So what the corruption does is it'll add something. If you think of the benthic gear from Nazjatar, that everyone uses for the raid and everything, that's kind of the effect that the corruption will have. They'll try to probably make it less powerful or make the corruption happen more often, so that way everyone can have it. The goal isn't that somebody has a corrupted piece and you don't, so you suck. The goal is that everyone can get a corrupted piece, I'm pretty sure, or that the effect on it isn't too overpowering. I believe that is the general goal. So let's think about the boots, the benthic boots. So that increases critical strike damage done, right? So let's say that there's a similar proc for corruption. So you get a pair of a belt. Let's say you get a belt, and it has increases critical strike damage by 2%, or just whatever it is. I don't know what the actual numbers are in there. Now this will also come with some corruption. So let's say it has 20 corruption on it for that 2% crit damage. So crit damage is a really good one. So you'd probably want to wear that belt. But let's say you already had a bunch of other things with corruption on it. You might have to take those off. Some numbers that people were just throwing around, just general numbers, is like maybe when starting off you could only have 2 or 3 corrupted pieces at the most, or 1 or 2 at the most. And then as you get more and more gear, maybe you can handle wearing 3, 4, 5 pieces of corrupted gear. But basically, if their goal is to make it so if you did somehow get every piece corrupted, that you wouldn't be able to function. So they don't want you to be over corrupted, if that makes sense. So basically, and then so I mentioned the 20 corruption, and that's why you might want to go to the Heartforge and purify the corruption off of your gear. Again, this is replacing Titanforging and Warforging just for this patch, and it will not be the exact thing in the game going forward. So that's about what we know on it so far, and now I'll just go into my opinions on it. Basically, this is an improvement on Titanforging, Warforging, and I'll tell you why it is at least an improvement. I'm not saying it's great. It's an improvement because people like me have terrible luck, and I play the game quite often. I don't hardly ever get Titanforging at all. Warforge, Titanforge, it's relatively the same chance. But I don't typically get either of that. I do have a Warforged weapon, which I'm thankful for. but I don't typically get forged up gear. Whereas I look at someone in my guild, that half their gear might be Titan forged, with perfect stats and everything for them, and that's just very depressing for me because I don't have that, and it's just so overpowered that it's just I just wish I had that so much. Whereas a corrupted item, I might be like, well, that's pretty good, and but the oh, but now, look, now I have a corrupted item because I believe that the idea is to make the chance happen more. I obviously I don't know that for a fact, but I believe that to be the case. So I'm more likely to get a piece of corrupted gear, and then I won't have to feel like crap because everyone else has Titanforge and I don't. They have higher item level than me. They have more stamina than me. Just things that you can't even help for yourself, right? And that's why it's, for me at least, it's definitely an improvement. I also think this is again opinion. I think this is a way that they can just completely get rid of the system if they want. So if you remember, Titan forging and Warforging happened because basically the Titans are blessing our gear randomly to be stronger, right? So as we kind of bring this a little bit to a close, Enzoth corrupts the Titan forging powers, right? So that's what's happening here. Enzoth is corrupting the Titan forging. That's why it's corruption. And we're going to purify all the corruption by defeating him. And then, if they want, they can just completely scrap the system if they want. If the corruption stuff is a hit, like people actually like it, then I think there'll be something similar going forward where your gear has a chance to do this or that. What I thought about was keep it like with like leech, avoidance, and indestructible. I don't really care about indestructible personally, but things like leech are really cool because they're not overpowered. But if you had a whole leech set, that actually is really cool, and that's kind of how I wish that they would do it going forward. Is have, or just make that more common to happen, so you could have an entire leech set or entire avoidance set if you wanted to. Things like that just should be. I think that should be stuff like that. And if they want to, it doesn't just have to be those three things. They can add more things to it. But that's what I think they should do going forward if they're going to do anything. But I do think that if everyone hates the corruption system too, that they're just going to say, well, Enzoth corrupted the Titan forging. Now there's no RNG gear system anymore. So that is a way out of it for them if they choose to take it. So overall, this is a good thing so far. We'll see how it plays out in the game. If everyone else has really great corruption pieces and I have like one corruption piece and it sucks, a couple months in to the patch, I'm going to change my mind and say, hey, this is just like Titan forging. Only the lucky people are benefiting here. Us unlucky folks are not benefiting. Someone suggested that maybe there should be a way, whether it's through something similar to Titan Residum, some kind of corruption Residum, and you can actually corrupt an item yourself, so that way you're not just stuck without corruption items. That's also kind of why I think that maybe it'll be more common to happen, so that way there aren't people clamoring for that, because it just happens more often. So we'll see how it goes from there, but I definitely think it's going on the right track. It's getting rid of Titan forging, Warforging, which is one of the few things I agree with getting rid of. I don't hate it like some people do, but I do, as a raider myself, I do see the downsides of it by me not being a lucky person. So please subscribe to the channel if this video interested you at all, or if you just want to help me out. And everybody have a good one.